Welcome to Under the Hood.
I'm Dr. Alex DiGrado, your pelvic floor physical therapist.
And I'm Dr. Rebecca Howard Eudy, your sex and relationship therapist. Hi, Alex.
Hi.
All right, we're talking about hemorrhoids today.
Yes, I know. This is
You sound
actually,
very excited. You're like,
I talk
only
about
a
it every day.
pelvic floor PT
Yeah.
is like,
Yes, hemorrhoids. Well, people sheepishly bring this up a lot. And so that's why I'm excited, because I do think that this is a very relevant topic for a lot of people.
It's embarrassing. People don't want to talk about it.
It's embarrassing.
But so common.
It's so common. It's really pervasive because of some of our lifestyle habits. And I think there's actually a lot you can do to help with it.
Okay, what can we do?
So I feel like that's why I'm excited. And so, yes. So I think historically people would say, put some preparation H on it. And
What does preparation H do? What is
it's supposed to just reduce the swelling. So
Okay.
kind of, and I don't know if preparation H itself is a steroid, but oftentimes people will get like a corticosteroid cream and put it on there. But chronic use of a steroid cream causes thinning of the skin. It can cause sensitization. It causes problems. Short-term use is usually fine, but it's not a really good solution long term. Like you don't want to use these things long term.
And a lot of times when people have hemorrhoids, it is, they might ebb and flow.
Yeah, but they always come back,
But
right?
they come back.
Yeah.
And so it is for many people, a long-term problem.
So, people will say, oh, take in more fiber, drink more water, and put some preparation H on it and you'll be fine. And I think that oversimplifies the issue. And what we are seeing more, and the literature supports this, is that recognizing that your pooping mechanics actually really matter. So chronic straining.
We have done a whole episode of this. I think it's our most listened to episode.
Yeah, poop. Everyone loves to talk about it.
Or
listen to it at least, because they're afraid to maybe
they want
bring
us
it up.
to talk about it.
We can talk about it.
Okay.
So the big thing about hemorrhoids is sitting for too long scrolling on the toilet. That's one of the ones I say don't do.
The pressure.
Yeah, it's putting so much downward pressure.
People don't like to hear this.
I know. Get off your phone. And so I'll just say it again. So yeah, really, you don't need to be spending hours on the toilet. You don't need to be spending 30 minutes on the toilet.
Yeah,
10 minutes or less. They don't like it, but it's true. If the hemorrhoids are bothering you.
Yep.
And so I'm talking about solutions here, okay? Whether they're popular or not. And so I also think that historically people would say, oh, sitz baths will fix it. Sitz baths are soothing. They're very comforting. They will absolutely give you some pain relief. And I think they have an appropriate place in hemorrhoid management, but they're not a solution long term. And I think really we have to look at what is the cause in the first place. And for some of us, the initial cause was straining during childbirth, which is kind of unavoidable.
Yep.
And so we do a lot with breathing and pushing mechanics during labor and delivery too. But I do think some of this is actually figuring out how can we undo the damage afterwards. So big ones are learning how to push properly on the toilet. And I'm going to talk through that because I do feel that most people who strain don't realize that what they're doing is not correct. And we are a chronically stressed culture. We tend to have a lot of high tone. TMD, which is jaw tightness and pain, is a huge problem in our country. This is the entrance and that's the exit, right? So the entrance and the exit are connected fascially. Typically, if you're clenching your jaw, you're clenching your pelvic floor. So we want to recognize the tension and learn how to lengthen, relax, expand, and open. I talk about that a lot. But we need to figure out how to do that while we're having a bowel movement. So there's this muscle called the puborectalis, and it loops around the end of the colon and it lassos it and it kind of chokes it to maintain continence so that you don't leak. And we need that muscle to lengthen, expand, and open while we're pushing so that we can have an effective bowel movement. If you have pencil thin stools or if they're coming out incomplete or get cut off, the likelihood is that you're closing instead of opening. It's called a paradoxical contraction. And so you want to think about using your belly muscles. I like to think about it like a French press. Using your breath and your belly muscles. Yes.
I'm having an image. Okay.
Yeah, it's like pushing. It's like squeezing a tube of toothpaste with the cap still on. We need the cap to be off in order for this to come out. So we're using our abdominal muscles and our breath to help us effectively push while we're lengthening, opening, and expanding our pelvic floor. So it's like a shh or a th. and you're really just trying to expand open, like your sits bones are separating or your tailbone is lengthening
Mm.
while you're generating pressure from above. If
Mhm.
you're straining from your rectum, it's too low.
Yeah, okay, I
It's like you're
gotcha.
straining from underneath it all.
Yes.
We want to have the power come from up above it. So we're pushing down toward an open exit.
Okay.
And that's also true for labor and delivery, but that would be for another episode. So in terms of hemorrhoids, I do feel that we tend to rush into some of the procedures. You can get banding
Mm.
surgery.
Mhm.
There's a lot of other procedures that you can do as well. And I won't go into too much detail with those because that's not my area of expertise. But conservative management initially, I feel, should look like improving and changing the mechanics
Mm.
of how you're doing it. Otherwise, you get the procedure done and you just have a recurrence of hemorrhoids
Yeah.
because you never really fixed the underlying issue.
Mhm.
So, absolutely, there is a place for the consistency of your stool. So the Bristol stool chart now hangs in the bathroom
Oh,
at my
yeah.
work.
I know,
It's a
Kathy gave
beautiful
that to you.
watercolor. Yes, our practice manager, Kathy. It's a beautiful blue watercolor of all the different textures.
It's really
It's as
magnificent.
classy as you could
Yeah,
possibly
uh-huh.
make a Bristol stool chart. And so we talk a lot about the consistency of someone's bowel movement when we're trying to fix hemorrhoids because it tells us a lot about your health
Mhm.
and what you might need. And so, and also we want to know if it also tells us about the mechanics. Like I
Mhm.
was saying, if it's coming out like a pencil, you're not open,
Mhm,
it's
mhm,
closed.
mhm, mhm.
So I do feel that that is something that people at home could just look at themselves and kind of say, okay, if I'm having, multiple small bowel movements throughout the morning, the likelihood is either we need to get that peristalsis going
Mhm.
by drinking a warm beverage, eating breakfast, doing some abdominal colon massage, actually, putting our feet up on a squatty potty, sitting there, doing the nice push, and then heeding the call to stool, which you've heard me talk about before, which is basically not ignoring the urge to go.
Mhm.
And so many of us are in a rush in the morning and we then miss the window and then we're trying to strain it out later on.
Mhm.
And it's just not good for hemorrhoids.
Mhm, mhm. And and I've heard you say also equally bad, or maybe
Yeah.
also
Hmm.
bad, is if you are rushing in the morning and you're like, "I gotta go before I get out of the
Yeah,
house,"
totally. And you're just
and
trying
you
to
are
rush it, push it out. Yeah.
yeah, and you're not you haven't actually felt the call.
Yes. Right.
That is equally not
That's right, and we wanna
gonna help you.
facilitate that, that
Right.
gastrocolic reflex. We're trying to facilitate it with kind of healthy lifestyle,
Okay.
and so one of the ways that we do that is by waking up, a little earlier, drinking a warm beverage, eating breakfast,
Mhm.
maybe doing some light exercise, doing our massage. But for those of us with small kids, we really might not be able to do all of those things, but at least knowing what time of day we typically go and honoring that,
Yeah.
trying to make it so that, yes, I am gonna be able to go. And sometimes when it's truly impossible, we actually try and cultivate a new habit in
Mhm.
pelvic floor PT. We say, okay, well, that's not really super realistic. Someone's teaching a workout class at that 5:30 hour or whatever. This is sort of specific, but then we have to think about their behaviors around it. Instead of drinking the coffee before teaching the class, they wait till after because that kind of stimulates it.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
we try and look at their lifestyle and modify the behavior so that way they're not straining on the toilet.
Okay. So we have all of this habit and behavioral stuff to try to get um, the mechanics right and not to exacerbate the issue.
Yeah, but maybe I skipped just defining what it is in the first place. I wonder if I should go back and say that.
Sure.
Because I do think if people sometimes don't know. They're like, I have this ball hanging out of
Mm,
I have this bulge here and it's scary.
yeah.
So basically, a hemorrhoid is a prolapsed blood vessel and it creates this little pocket. And it is typically from straining or some other chronic coughing can cause it.
Hmm.
Also, people with emphysema and that kind of thing.
Hmm.
But sometimes during pregnancy, it happens just from prolonged sitting because there's
Yeah.
so much extra weight pushing down that we're not used to. And so it can be above or below the pectinate line. And what that means is if it's below, it can itch, it can be really painful, it can
Mm,
be uncomfortable. Typically, to differentiate between a fissure, which is a cut,
hmm.
that feels like cut glass. That feels like you're getting a tear while you're having a bowel movement. It
Oof.
feels like glass tearing.
Yeah.
And so that is different from a hemorrhoid,
Okay.
where you might just be itchy and uncomfortable and you notice it and you feel it above the pectinate line. Sometimes you don't even know you have it, but it bleeds.
I see.
And so you're noticing blood and you're saying, do I have a polyp? Do I need a colonoscopy? What's going on? So both can be very unsettling and, are fairly benign typically.
Mhm.
They're just because of straining or poor diet and that kind of thing. But I do feel that when someone has it and they're aware of it, they're nervous about it and if they
Yeah.
don't know exactly what it is. So
Right.
just to define it for those.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
super helpful. So, you say you have someone and you've worked on all of these habits and, you've gotten their bowels to
Yeah.
behave
Mhm.
with their
Totally.
assistance.
Yeah.
Does the hemorrhoid just go away on its own? Like, what?
Sometimes we do facilitate that. So I'll have people do an ice massage to help reduce swelling.
Mhm.
They used to freeze the hemorrhoids like true
Mm,
cryotherapy. Now they don't do that anymore, really. Um,
interesting. Like you'd freeze a wart or
yeah,
something?
kind of like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
And so that's definitely fallen out of favor
Yeah.
in more recent years. But I do think the ice massage can help because it just reduces the swelling and makes it less uncomfortable.
Mhm.
And so, of course, we do the sitz baths, absolutely, because it gives them, it eases the discomfort
Mhm.
while we're improving the mechanics.
I see.
And then I think sometimes it does recur. If you go on vacation and you get constipated again and maybe you're in a situation where you need to strain. So for some of my folks who know that they have some cyclical issues, we will look at maybe bringing some Metamucil on vacation with them or
Mhm.
Benefiber or psyllium husk, whatever.
Mhm.
But of course, we really have to look at what each individual person tolerates and needs. Sometimes people try fiber and it super backfires,
Oh, yeah,
you
because
know?
if they're not drinking enough water,
Yes. Oh
then it's
gosh,
like the
forget about it.
hydration is
Yes.
just as
Chia
important
seeds,
as
all that stuff, which is so great in theory
Sure.
and in practice as well, can really backfire if we're not sort of titrating it appropriately and
Yeah.
also adding the water as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. But just saying in the instances where in the past you've had issues, vacation is a perfect example where hemorrhoids will recur.
Yeah.
We try and
It's a good way to
support that
ruin a
time.
vacation.
Yeah, we try and
Yeah.
support that event with, you know,
Planning for
yeah,
it and
exactly.
thinking about it.
Yeah, and maybe
Yeah.
even some Colace or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Anything else people should know about this?
If you're really bothered by it, we had a guest a while back, the Desert Harvest, and
Yes.
the Relivium that has the lidocaine in it can
Mm.
be really good for it because it has a lot of the healing properties in the cream itself, but then it also has the lidocaine. So it just
Yeah.
helps you not feel so uncomfortable. And there's this other anything but. It's the Anything brands, and they have this Anything But ointment that I think is really good for hemorrhoids as well.
Okay.
So just beyond the typical preparation age, but as with all of that, we want temporary use of that for more comfort than full resolution.
Right. So when you're having a flare up
Yeah,
of the hemorrhoids or whatever,
yeah,
that might be something that you use short term. But if it's something that you're dealing with day in, day out, long term, then there's other things
yeah,
that can be done habit wise.
that's
And
right. And sometimes I will have someone consult with a colorectal surgeon and see what
Mhm.
options are there because I'm not living in a silo here. I do want to
Sure.
use all the medical management that we have available to us. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Alex.
You're welcome. Thank you for listening to Under the Hood. If you liked this episode, please take a minute and leave us a review. And we'd love to hear from you. If you have any ideas for future episodes, please let us know.